Here we are again. Here we are again. Episode 13. Can you believe it? No. I'm surprised we haven't got banned off YouTube by now, but here we are. Good evening, everybody. I'm joined, as always, by my friends. Well, Luke's here, and I've got my friends Martin and Laz as well. Good evening, mate.
Evening, everybody.
We're having a bit of rib tickling going on in the background, I'm afraid, before the show started. So, good evening to the chaps. Good evening to Laz. Good evening to Martin. Good evening to Luke. And good evening to Mick in the chat.
Hi, mate.
We're going to. I'll go through the preamble of what's going on, just to give people. If you're in the chat, by all means, give us a wave, give us a shout out. Here's Kev. Good old Kev. How are you, mate?
Is
Mick saying eye hole? Yeah, we'll go through the preamble and just give people a chance to log on. So, what have we got going on? Please, number one, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're up to 121 subscribers. Slowly, catchy monkey. We're going up nicely. 122, even as we speak. It's magic. It's like, it's magic. You're like a wizard, lads. I don't know how he does it, but there we go. We're up to 122. So if you haven't subscribed, it's got a magic pen. That's why. It's Jerry. What a good-looking lot. Well, yes. Do we owe you money, mate? Do we owe you money? So thanks. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. It does us the world of good. It keeps us going. Excuse me. Coming up in September, we have our Paint It Blue challenge. There is a link in the description of the video where, if you choose to do so, and I would appreciate it greatly if people did, to donate to the Alzheimer's Society. And the idea of the Paint It Blue Week event is pretty much as it says: take any model and paint it blue, and then we put a video like we do every other month of a gallery of all the painted blue models. So please get on board with that, and why not, if you haven't already, have a go at doing a model and put an entry in, and we'll include your photos. So there's that. And then finally, Patreon pays the bills around here for us. We license this software. We've got 2 or 3 Patreons who I appreciate greatly for helping out. If you've got 2 or 3 quid spare, chuck it in there, and you can become a patron of the channel as well. So that's that. What we'll do before we go any further, I think, unless you've got something you wanted to say there, Mark.
Yeah, I have. Ian's just joined the chat, Ian Halley, and
good evening, Ian.
he says it's good to see somebody can deliver a parcel on time.
Yeah. I put the cart before the horse already. We did the 30-second intro twice, so that's the kind of show it's going to be. My thanks to Ian we've got a bit of an ongoing story. Me and Ian, bless him, he's been trying to send me a parcel, and it's gone all around the UK by the time it gets to me, and I've been chasing it all over the place, but hopefully we'll get that sorted out sooner rather than later. Right, we'll go around the houses then, and firstly we'll touch base with what everybody's been doing. So Luke, this time round, you're top of the screen on my screen. So what you been up to, buddy?
Evening, everyone. Well, this one come via Mr. Martin Dares. That's my Painted Blue challenge. It's the April Commodore. Again, printed the wheels for this on the mirrors on the 3D printer. Really happy with the way that's come. And today I've just started a little Chevy Corvette Stingray. This was one we bought from Stafford when we went there. So I stripped the paint off this. This was heavily overpainted, this was. But whoever's done it, it's when they've rubbed the casting down, they've probably used like an 80 grit on it, so there's quite a lot of work to do on this casting to get it ready for paint. But again, I've put this up on YouTube for you guys to choose the colour for this one. So you got till Monday, and then I'll get it sprayed then. So head over there, it's on my channel, and choose a colour for that. And that's all I'm doing this week.
Just jump in there. The silhouette of that car, even though it's dismantled, just the silhouette of that body looked fantastic.
Yeah, it's still a lovely model,
Great
aren't they?
shape.
Yeah. Absolutely beautiful. They are.
Yeah. Sorry, Luke. Carry on.
Yeah, that's me, mate. That's all I've done.
Right over. So let the painting contest commence. Laz, what you been up to, my friend?
I'm in the process of doing a nice
Oh, look at that!
Oh,
That's why I brought it here, because I've got the same car, but this one is how to show. This is not with the opening lights. It's the other.
the one there with the exhaust and that on it.
So this one the way, and just finished this little Matchbox. Where's the camera? This little Matchbox American station wagon.
It's nice, that was.
Thank you. So that is just been done today. This is for next week's video, diecast restorations without a video. And I've got another, I think, 6-7 cars on the go. Most of them are for that video next Friday. The videos, the restorations without video. That's it.
Nice one. So let's look at your version of the Corvette, Martin. Or have you just?
Yeah, it's a bit chunky in my version. Yeah, I've just finished this one. This is going up in the first week in September. This one.
I like
this
that.
Is the
the
majorette Land Cruiser. I've changed the colour on it. Did a lot of work on that actually to get it like that, because it was quite bad. The plastic roof was really bad, and it took a lot of sanding to get that smooth. I've got that finished. I've got the 2 tankers, big Bedford tankers, the mobile gas and the milk tankers. They're in paint now. They've had the colour down. I'm just going to do decals on the mobile gas one tomorrow, and lacquer the cabs, and then 2-tone the milk one probably Monday now. And I've got the painted blue with the Rover P6 Transalite. That's going to go in the metallic blue like it was originally in. That's for the painted blue. And I got the purchases video next week. So there you go. That's me for now. All done.
Just a shout out, really, that if you want to, if you join this channel, or in fact go on the Facebook channel and join us on the tavern on a Friday night, you get to see a preview of what everybody's working on, not just us four. There's Michael and Andy and other people that pop in and they'll show us what they're working on. So it's almost like a preview show as well. So it's worth coming in on a Friday night and joining us. Me, I've got
PJ.
Yes.
What have you been doing this week?
Oh, thank you very much, Les. It's interesting. How kind of you, sir. I've started to paint it blue. I've got a Renault R16 that's given me a few problems, but the bodywork was. I'm thankful to Luke, really, because when we shared out a bunch of cars between us, and I'm always a sucker for a hard look story. And this, I don't know if you can remember, Luke, it was covered in all kinds of colours and crayons and all sorts. And I saw it and I thought, I've got to do something with that. So it's back to white now. I've got the boots on the bonnet to do. The chassis is already done in the sorry, the light's terrible, in the beige Sierra, which is a lovely colour I like for doing chassis, either satin black or the beige. So there's that. And then the worst thing I've done, and Martin's going to cringe now, is that obviously I've got the 3D printer, which was brought for doing spare parts. I haven't done many spare parts, I must admit, but I've done some cracking models. So what I have done this week is, if you're a fan of Ray Harryhausen, I've done a complete set of Hydra.
Yeah, awesome. I like those.
Skeletons. And that's been this is getting me into the hand painting realm of things. Although these models printed out in grey resin, and they've had a coat of, if you're into your paints, this is Chaos Black that they're coated with at the moment. And before we went live, I had a knock on the door. I've had some paint supplies delivered. And the other one that I've done is if you're into your gaming, I've done Vault Boy from the Fallout game. Me and my daughter have both got this game, and there's a lot of iconic figures in that, as well as cars. Surprisingly enough, it's so if you go on and have a look for Fallout cars, you almost see these 50s and 60s futuristic cars. Yeah. They're fantastic vehicles, and I should love to do one. So thanks for asking, Laz. That's what I've been doing. I've been doing this week.
I can see a new channel coming on now. It's going to be PJ's figure painting.
Well, I'm always open to what I found out. Bizarrely enough, the street that Martin's been to my house, there's a street that runs parallel to mine, and on that street, which is don't tell everybody, there's a street that runs opposite to mine, and just off there, hidden away in one of these prefabricated buildings that pop up all over the place, you never know what's going off in there, is a Warhammer gaming shop. And I went in there, introduced myself, and an enthusiastic mob of D&Ders as they turned out to be, but they were great, and they gave me some great advice on paints and helped me pick some paints out. So I think I've got it here. I'll give them a shout out, although none of them will be watching this. There's the card. Northex Wargaming. I'll give them a shout out, and a shout out to John, Vince, and Kathy, who helped me out with the colours. So there you go. That's me. So this week, what we're going to be talking about? Right, we're going to be talking about finishing. Now, we already had a bit of a gentle debate about where we're going to cut this off and where we're not. So you might help us out in the chat if you've got questions as we go through this. Where we're assembling the model, and what do you do to it once it's assembled? Martin, is that fair enough? Is that the kind of
we're basically talking about polishing the hubs, detailing the car, painting and putting the details on.
Yeah.
If that's what you're going to do, like bumpers, headlights, indicators. What do you use for what paint do you use? Do you use a silver backing before you put the paint on, or do you use a color pen that a lot of people use now? Do you use Molotov or some sort of metallic silver, or a super chrome, or whatever? Do you paint around you? We've all got. I think there's the four of us here have all got different ways of doing it. Luke does his totally different to me, and I do mine different to Laz. It's basically the same, but we've all got little bits and pieces that we put on extra that we do. So we're doing that, and polishing the hubs, like I said before, and just the finishing touches. Whether you put mirrors on or whether you put an aerial on, it's the choices are endless. Do you want to keep it as factory, just doing it the basic what the factory did, or do you want to put a few extra little bits and pieces on to enhance the model? That sort of thing.
Yeah, we've also kind of Martin kind of gently reminded me that we want to kind of draw a line where displaying models and how we're going to do that. And I did see that somebody had put into the Facebook chat how to display a model. So that is a natural cut-off point, Mark. You're absolutely spot on. And so we'll do that.
Because the big subject is displaying a model. Displaying a model, as Luke's going to show us in a few weeks' time when he gets his garage diorama done.
Garage diorama, yeah.
Still a work in process.
When the thing is, it's 1-to-1. It's not a 1/64 scale. It's 1-to-1. So, right. So, because Martin kind of wanted to, I've got some ideas on this one. We'll let you lead them, Mark, and then we'll have some suggestions off the back of you.
Great. Here we go. Right.
So, by all, Mark, take it away, mate.
Well, evening, everybody. Everybody's in the chat. Ian, Jerry, Mick, Kevin, everybody else is in there. Right. I do mine. I like to add just a little bit extra on my castings, I will call them. Just that bit more than the factory put on. Not overly done, but just a little bit more to enhance the detail. I mean, to me, when you strip one of these even down the Matchbox, the 1/64 scale, and some of Dinkies and Corgis, you see on the earlier ones, pre-80s, I would say, the details that they put in the molding is phenomenal. Some of it, and a lot of it is what is lost in the factory paint that they put on. Obviously, they have to put enough paint on, protect it, because it's a toy at the end of the day. But the details that the guys went to make this model look like it's supposed to look, you know, all the fine line details, the indicators, the pattern on the grill, the carving around the headlights, and some of them have got a little bit of a lip on the headlights. Even down to the rain gutters down the side of the windows on a lot of the cars you see with the rain gutters on. With the modern cars, they don't have any of that anymore. Of the modern models don't have that anymore. And I just like to sort of bring that out a little bit, you know, when you're like doing the door handles and things like this, and colouring the lights in as it would have been, and maybe I was scraping down the side or painting down the side of the chrome strips. And if need be, you know, if I get the time, stick an aerial in. I'm not keen on putting mirrors on because they tend to get broken off when they're in the cabinet and moving around and polishing and dusting, because I dust mine on a regular basis, and I find things like mirrors and that I would get knocked off, so I tend not to put them on so much. Yeah, so I just like, that's what I like to do. It means more work when you're got the casting in a bare casting, because if you want to do like the seam line down the side, the chrome strip down the side of the car, you need to make sure that's smooth and clean and sharp before you either scrape it or paint it. But otherwise that will stand out big time. Bumpers, especially if they're all chipped and they're dented, or you need to file them to some nice shape. Get them as smooth as you possibly can. Sometimes you can't always do it because they're in such an awkward position, but you can get it so it looks right. You don't want to do all that time with your painting and then you go to paint your bumpers and they've got big nicks out of them, and because it will stand out. It will stand out badly. Radiator grills, I like to spend a bit of time on them because
you're using a set of mini files to.
Yeah. I use a set of mini files, modelers files, mini files, sandpapers. Sometimes I've got a very sharp set of blades that I got from a machine I used to work on years ago, and I will scrape as well along the sides and stuff like this. But yeah, it's as far as you want to go with it, really. But
yeah,
I think on the size of the model, you have to be careful that you don't go too far, because if you go too far, it doesn't look right. Even though it was on the original car on the 1:1 scale, on the small scale, it looks too much. So you've got to get that even balance between overdoing it and what your eye is being drawn to, rather than just leaving it. So it's a happy balance. You've got to get that happy balance.
Yeah.
And also you've got to have a steady hand for what you're doing as well. It can be a bit
really good eyesight as well, you know.
Well, that's where the magnifiers come in handy. Yeah. That's where you definitely need the magnifiers.
It's quite ironic,
yeah. So I use, when I do the lights, well, let's go back for I'm getting ahead of myself here. The paint I use for my chrome work, if you look at the original toys, they weren't bright, shiny chrome. They were like a silver, quite a bright silver. So I picked out it's a Humbrol color. It's a metal coat, Humbrol metal coat, and it's basically a polished aluminium. And I've been using that for a while now, and I find it goes on nice if you keep it stirred. You've got to keep it stirred. You can thin it a bit with Mr. Lebanon thinners. That's not so bad. And it goes on nice, it goes on smooth, and it's not metallic. Because I see a lot of people use metallic silver, but in some cases you can see the metallic in it, and it doesn't look, to me personally, it's not my cup of tea. It doesn't look right. You do understand what I'm saying? So I like to use either a plain silver. I've tried several silvers in the past, but I've settled on this Humbrol metal coat, and I like to do that. But I'm willing to try other things. I've just been talking to Luke earlier. He's got a paint that he's been using and it's super chrome on his latest model. So I'm going to try and get some of that and try that. Because it seems to me that when you lacquer over silver, especially monotone, it dulls it right down. Yeah, so you can paint a nice bright chromey look on your bumper, and then or your grill, and you put a coat of lacquer on it, and bosh, it's gone down, and it doesn't look right. So that's why I always do my chrome work after I've lacquered it, not before. It keeps that shine. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm willing to try new things. My headlights, sorry, my tail lights, indicators, I use the same thing. I hit it with a bit of that metal coat first before I put colour on it, just to bring the colour out. And I use Tamiya clear red and Tamiya clear orange for the lights, the front and back, and indicator lights. I find them, they're quite a realistic colour when you put them on. They do got that nice tint to them. If you just get red or orange paint, it sometimes it stands out too much. That's just what I'm saying. This is what I do. You know what I mean? That's why the other guys do something different, but we're all got our different ways. That's what it's all about. It's all having different ways of doing things. Yep. That's how I paint my chrome, and that's how I do my indicators. So we can then ask Luke and
Laz, how do you? Well, I want to bring something up that Laz showed me that I want to bring up, but let Laz go first, and I'll bring it up when he's done. Go, Laz.
I do the same with Martin. I used to put the chrome on first and then clear coating the car, but then it became dull, not shiny anymore. So what I do is I use this pen. This is like a silver postcard, POSCA.
Posca,
yeah. I use this one for the headlights only, and I do the headlights before the clear coating process, so because that stays the same. But I used to use this for the bumpers as well, but it's not as shiny as the chrome. So when I have an American 50s, 60s car, then I put the chrome, which I use the spray one. And for the indicators and lights, I use the same brand. I use it's like a red.
Yeah.
So I use it for the lights, and the same brand I use for the indicators. I meant to buy the clear orange and the clear red. I want to try that as well, because I think, as Martin said, sometimes this is too bright, too orange.
So do you use the Posca pens before you lacquer or after?
With the indicators and the brake lights, yes. I put them on first and then put the clear coat, and also the headlights. But the bumpers and the grills and the gas caps and stuff like that, I do after. I use a brush. And sometimes if I have a very small detail, that's why I like the small 1:64 ones, because the indicators and the brake lights, I just put a dot because they're so small. I just put the dot. It's not, sometimes you can see that the indicator light is actually bigger than my dot, but I just want to show, because at the end of the day it's a toy. So they never done it properly in the factory as well. So I just put a dot there. I show that the indicator is there, but I don't go around too much because then it stands out too much. I did try that.
you've got to be very careful. I mean, if you're working on something like a 1/64 scale, when you get down to an indicator,
yeah,
it's just too small.
Sometimes less is more. You know, when you just show that the indicator is there, but it's not too big, not stands out too much, because the car itself is very small.
Well, that's exactly why they call it a highlight. It's not. It doesn't. It's not in your face. It's just something to draw you in. So it's an highlight.
I've just done. I'm doing a Dinky Toys Mini Morris police car. You know, with the banner on the top with the beak, and it's got indicators on the front. It's nothing at the back because it's a sticker. But the front has the indicators. Again, I just put 2 dots there to show that the indicator is there. But I didn't go too much around and, make it too big, because the car is small. So I don't want to get out too much.
Okay, Kev is asking, just a quick hello to Diecast Revive. Good evening. How are you, mate? Welcome along. Thanks for joining us. Kev is asking, Laz, can you put lacquer on first and then the Posca pen afterwards?
You can, but I find out that they don't stick as good as the spray cans colors. So if you're handling the car too much after you finished it, if you put it here, put it there, move it because you dusting or something, they might come off.
It's going to slide off, yeah.
So that's why I do that first and then put the clear coat on it. That covers it. That safeguarding it, and then it won't come off. Okay. But you can, if you want, you can, because, for example, if you make a mistake and it's clear coated already, it wipes off easy.
Yeah.
Because the clear coat is like a floor polish material. It's very shiny. Sometimes I do the detailing and I mess it up and I just wipe it off and start again. But yeah, I put these on first and then clear them because it safeguards the paint and it won't come off. Because it happened before that I was putting the car here, there, and then they slide off. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Nice one, Laz. I just want to give Laz a shout out because he showed in one of his videos. This is going back, I don't know, Laz, might be a couple of years, where you drilled out the lights at the back to give them definition instead of them being flat. I don't know if there's an indicator or a lot, but you drilled it out and then painted inside it to give it a depth, like almost like a 3D effect. And I thought that was brilliant. I can't remember what we was working on. It might have even been an engine, like an exhaust. I think that's what it was, an exhaust.
Actually, it was the exhaust pipe.
Yeah.
That was the exhaust pipe. I think it was the Corvette, the Matchbox Corvette Stingray.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Exhaust pipes, and I drilled them out a little bit and painted them black, so you have a depth.
Absolutely, yeah, and I thought that was a fantastic idea, so I completely ripped it off and did it on one of my vehicles, and it's right. It just because some of the plastic moldings, if it's a plastic mold, it can be a little bit, it can explode out too far, so you have to file it back and then make it look better. Anyway, that was just one of the things that I picked up on from watching Laz's videos. All right, Lukey, finishing off.
I think I work a little bit different to all of you, listening to what you do. It depends what car it is. Obviously, some of it will start when the casting's completely bare. For instance, the Chevy I've got here, the front bumper and the rear bumper, they were polished when this casting was actually, there was no paint on it. What I tend to do, run over them with a file, get rid of any chips or any imperfections on it. I flat it then with some 600, moving up to 1,000, and then I polish them up just with the Dremel. I use a bit of T-cut. That's all you need, just polishes it up well. Then I will mask it up from there then before I undercoat it. I'll undercoat the model, obviously rub it down again. I'll usually remove the masking tape at that stage just to get a nice clean line when I come to put the paint on. and then all my detail then is done once that base coat's on. So, for instance, them lines on there, that's that AK Super Chrome, that's been lacquered over, and they're still nice and shiny, as well as all the chrome around the windows. So that doesn't dull off once the lacquer goes over it.
What are you saying, lads? You don't like it? You don't think it's very good? No. We've got a bit of a friendly rivalry going on with paint jobs at the minute, and
you come to like the plastic bumpers. I haven't lacquered them. That's just a bit of that black wash in the front grille there. Again, I have done the chrome around the windows, and that has been lacquered over. The wing mirrors have been lacquered as well. The wheels are painted then with a monotone pen after they're sprayed on black, but they have dulled slightly once I lacquered them. But I don't mind anyway, because they're aluminium, they're not really shiny, so I think they just sort of added to the effect on that.
Yeah,
well, that's what I tend to do.
Sorry, this chrome that this super chrome. Have you got it handy? You can.
I have, mate. Yeah, it's here for everyone to see. That's it.
And what's the brand of it? AK. Yeah, AK.
It's AK Super Chrome. Yeah, I've had it a while, Martin. It's good stuff. It lasts forever. Like I've either if there's chrome work on it, like a 50s, 60s car, I usually polish the chrome work. I don't know why. It's something I like to do rather than painting it. I probably should just paint it. It'd be a lot easier than masking all that off. But I just like to make things difficult for myself.
Yeah.
But that's the tape I use for masking up.
0.4.
That's a 0.4. That's a 0.7. I've got some 1 mil, 5 mil, and I think I've got a 0.2 as well. But that's really tricky to work with. That is, and all to do with that, I go all around the window apertures. Even that chrome through the middle, that's actually sprayed on with the sprayed chrome. I haven't scratched that. That was masked up and sprayed on. I'm going to show more of the detailing. Again, the backlights, they were sprayed on with base coat. And then I went round with a monotone pen and then just lacquered all the detail in.
Nice.
It keeps it.
So that super chrome, is it straight out the bottle or do you have to thin it?
Straight out the bottle, mate. It's quite thin. I was a bit wary of it, mine on the coverage when I first used it, but you better just cover it in a nice, quick, heavy coat. That's all it needs. If you go over it a second time, it dulls it off. So it's just a long coat.
That's good advice. It's good advice.
Available on
that. If you're spraying stuff like, PJ, if you're spraying stuff like the bumpers, put a black base coat on first, just a satin black. You can be out of a spray can, whatever, but it's definitely better over a black base coat.
Definitely, yeah. Most chrome, a lot of chrome. Yeah.
So, did you get yours off Amazon, Luke?
I did, mate.
Yeah, it's available. It's AK Interactive Super Chrome Ink Paint AK 9198. It's running on Amazon at the minute at 21 quid for a 60 milliliter bottle. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, 60 mil that one.
Yeah, 60 mil. So that's 21.95, and ships 26th of August. So it would have been here on Monday if I ordered it off Amazon.
Well, sorry, lads, go on, mate. He's patient and waiting there, bless you.
Just wanted to ask you, where do you buy your very, very thin masking tape?
eBay, them lads.
eBay. Okay.
I was getting them from a local shop to me where I get all my base colours to mix me paint, shall I say. But every time I was buying them, they were going dearer and dearer, so I just go to eBay for them now.
What brand is it? Because I've got Tommy about that's a bit.
Sorry, lads, hold on. Where are we? These one is Micron masking.
And the other one is Super Chrome.
Yeah, Super Chrome, but these don't leave any residue on the paint when you take them off either. Because some of them you can get, they'll leave a sticky residue on. These don't do that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I've come across that. I've got so many tapes I've bought and thrown away because they are, whatever you do, sticky.
Yeah.
It's the dog. It's the dog.
Oh,
I need to give her a topic.
That's all right, mate. That's all right.
The Tamiya is good as well because it doesn't leave residue.
Tammy is good, yeah. Tammy is good.
Paint.
Tammy is
Sometimes
good.
the paint. I'll be back.
Yeah, a good tip with the old masking tape is just put a selection on the back of your hand, and it'll pick up the grease on the back of your hand and just make it a little less tacky and
Unfortunately, I can't do that, VJ, because my hands are hairy at the back, mate. I have to do it somewhere else.
Right, it's a waxing job for you then, mate, and that's what it is.
Yeah. The other thing I use.
I'm just saying to my BJ. That's the worst thing you need is any grease on when you're painting, because that causes reactions.
Yeah, well, this is on the back of your masking tape, so you're not going to paint on your masking. You know, you're covering that.
Just saying, when you come to lacquer it, I'm on about.
Oh yeah.
The other thing is, we talk about finishing touches. Will be with the plastic parts. Once I put them in the oven cleaner. I mean, I haven't got the super chrome, so I'll try that when I get it. But I found some that I use out of an air rattle can. Just the chrome effect is quite good. It's not highly polished chrome, but it comes out really nice. I've used it on some of the plastic parts that go straight through, especially on the Chevy and some of the plastic parts. I find using the spray can on that rather than my brush, because some of them come in one big chunk, don't they? They got the grill on the front and they got the bumper on the back, and I tend to use that. And I use what I tend to do, and also with things like loading ramps on vehicles with checker plate. I tend to do what Luke does with his bumpers. I tend to polish that up before I do anything else, and then I mask it off. So you've got that checker plate, because on a car transporter, to me, you would have that would be metal checker plate or whatever it is. It wouldn't have paint on it. You know, it would be bare metal. There's things like that. So I like to keep them all cleaned off. Anything with checker plate on it, polish it up with your wire brush, mask it off, and then prime it, paint it. Yeah.
So with me, usually I would, if it's a 64th scale model, I'd get some sticks. Get yourself a pair of scissors, cocktail sticks, cut the end off, give you a little flat end, dip it into your, in this instance, it would be number 31 from Revel, which is the red, which is ideal for your brake lights. And I've also got, this is mix and match, so I've got an umbral orange for indicators. And again, it's just enough to put a cocktail stick in. And a droplet on your vehicle.
Yeah.
So there's an example of this. I know this is 143 scale, but what you're trying to do is to give an idea of a badge. So the Land Rover badge just up there is painted blue, so it gives you an idea of the Land Rover badge, and you know, do that with the indicators. And like Martin says, I completely agree with Martin. Unless you're doing something like an E-type Jag or a classic vehicle, you know, where it really does shine, and then that's probably when Molotow comes into its own. But if you're doing things like exhaust and bumpers, there's plenty of ranges. I've got a 91 and a 90 aluminium here that you can use for exhaust. If you want to go to that level of detail on your chassis, some people will just paint them black or beige like I do, and I've done with it. So aluminium is a good colour. And then we're on to the next part of where we go with this. So Martin, after you've
there's a few other bits, like you say, using the toothpick for details. You can also go to extent, if you want to, I've seen 2 or 3 people do it, is to drill out the headlights and put your own jewels in, because a lot of obviously the Corgi and some of the Dinkies had dual headlights. You can go to the extent of filing them down, drilling a hole, I'm putting your own dual headlights in if you think it's necessary. I'm working on using some of the crystal clear, and I'm putting some double-sided tape on my bench, and not without taking the tape off, just leaving it on the shiny, and dropping little bits of crystal clear on it at different sizes and letting them dry. And so it's a bit like a lens for your eye, really. It comes out reasonably clear, and using them to put over the light to give it that more of a clear effect. But I'm not happy with it yet. You know what I mean? So it's work in progress, that one, at the minute. Yeah, doing that. Some people do it with the backlights as well. Some of the lorries you can get away with the backlights, because some of the vehicles that don't have any backlights on them at all. If you look on Google Images, you can see roughly where the lights are. And if you go and get some of those plastic stick-on jewels from on them big sheets of card, you get from a craft shop, and they go right down to little 2mm. You can then stick them where the lights would have normally been, but weren't on the model at the time. So that gives just that little bit extra at the back, because some of the models you look at the back, there's just nothing on it, you know, and you think, well, yeah, that could just do with a little bit of extra. Yeah, it's little bits and pieces like that, and you can use those nail bars. They get those instruments. They've got little balls on them, the different size balls, and they use them for dipping in the paint and putting on if you haven't got any cocktail sticks or you don't want to use a cocktail stick. So there's, or I've been using recently for details, especially cockpit details on aircraft and on cars, is propelling pencils. I got a tip off a scale model car guy in America. He was doing the details on a Toyota 124 scale, and he was using propelling pencils. They're all different sizes, and going down from like 0 point whatever upwards, and he was using them to dipping in the paint and literally drawing with it, you know. And I thought, that's, you know what, that's worth a go. And I tried it. You've got to keep dipping in your paint because it still absorbs it, but the actual lead of the pencil is your bit, you know. And you just dip into the paint and draw your line, especially if you're doing lying around the center console or rings around a light. You can use that. And I bought a set. It wasn't expensive. I think it's about 7 or 8 quid. And there was a set of 5 in it, and you know, you got plenty of leads. And when you finish with it, you can just cut the lead off and carry on like that. Same as I use an eraser or rubber for the raised embossed. If it's big enough, the raised embossed lettering, I just dip that in the silver and dab it on a little bit of cloth, and then I use that to stamp on top of my raised details, and that'll come out like a print. So, you know, there's little things like that that work. Yeah. I see PJ, he's clicking. Look, he's clicking. Look. Oh, I got a message from Ian, by the way, earlier on. Sorry, Ian, I didn't translate it straight away. He was just basically saying that in that parcel there's a jigsaw, UFO jigsaw, a woodland scene or something.
Oh, it might. I know what he means. I think I might know what he means. He was. Ian is a great collector of eclectic things, and we have a mutual admiration for Jerry Anderson stuff, and so it may be, yes, it may be maybe something along them lines. Diecast Revive says, have you tried that spray chrome over a gloss black for a shadow chrome effect?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. Most chrome work that I do on the plastic, especially on the plastic on the larger pieces, I would put black down first, and then go with the aerosol that I've got for chrome. It just gives you that bit of depth of shine.
Yeah. You're a big believer in putting the black down as well, aren't you, Luke? Before you do.
Yeah, I think he's on about something different there, though, PJ. He's on about shadow chroming.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's on some. I'm on about something different there, but I found just through trial and error that it definitely worked better over a black base. Definitely.
I mean, I know you.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gone off kind of the chrome effect scenario, but instead of buying the Molotov pen, now Martin's made me think, and a couple of things that made me have come to mind is if you get these propellant pencils, Martin, and you got a bottle of the Molotov chrome, not the pen itself, because you can get the
the refill. Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see what that'd be like. But it's also a good idea for we're looking for this utopian way of doing the orange lines on the Batmobile.
You're still going to need a hell of a steady hand.
Has that got legs, like, you know?
Yeah, because you're looking on the Batmobile. You're looking at you're trying to do a line on an edge of on a narrow edge. You know, it's like walking. It's like walking a steel beam with high heel shoes on, isn't it? Really, you know, it's
perfect. Your hand doesn't shake, and you can draw a straight line. Yeah, that's.
Well, I was always taught that when I was the welder. In the old days, before they had these fancy wires and stuff, now before the MIG and that, it was stick welding. And believe you me, when you're touching and starting with a stick welder, your hand starts to shake at the handle end, and believe you me, that little tip at the end of that rod is going to go four times the amount of your hand shaking at one end. You know, and I learned to keep a steady hand like that. It's just come in handy, but probably his age is getting to me now. I do start to shake a little bit. But
Jerry is saying, can you, Martin, try UV glue for lenses?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a thought. Yeah, Jerry. Yeah, it's a thought. There's all sorts of things I like to try. It's just like people like yourself who come up with suggestions. It's always good because I can, I compute it and think, okay, I'll try that. It's just trying to make things look as real as you possibly can, I suppose. You know, it's endless, really, how far you want to go. You know, you super detail in a car. It's your personal preference. I mean, Luke likes to customize his cars. He does a fantastic job on them as well. But it's just, I just like to see a little bit of detail on it. It's just the way I am, I suppose, because I've got a scale modeling background, and a lot of scale modeling painting techniques can be transferred over to diecast. That's where I learned about the putting a gloss chrome down, a gloss black down before putting chrome down. I learned that off the scale model car guys. They do that on their motorbikes and chrome work and stuff like this, and using different techniques for shading as well. So yeah, it's a cross. Scale modeling and diecast is not that far apart.
It's getting closer.
Not that far apart.
It really is getting closer.
And the 3D printing goes across both bridges.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things. I mean, scale modeling is on a larger scale, but the painting techniques using a brush or an airbrush, and the paints are the same. A lot of the guys use automotive paints like Luke does. A lot of guys use the Tamiya paints and the Citadel paints. It's everything's very similar.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about recently, to do these figures, I've been invested in we've got about 15 different pots of Citadel paints and a few Vallejo game colours. But I'm itching to try these game colours, these metallics.
Yeah, they're okay. Yeah, I've got a few of them. I've got a few. I use the Vallejo paints because you can get Vallejo air will come straight out the bottle. And those game colours, they're straight out the bottle, and they brush paint nicely.
Are they acrylic then?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
But equally, there's also model colour. The reason
the model colour. Yeah.
And the acrylic umbral is another version.
Yeah, I don't tend to use the acrylic umbral though. I'm not an umbral fan.
This kind of boiled down to it's within the finishing realm. I think I was talking to Luke at the time. I said, I've got this bloody Land Rover and I keep chipping it and chipping it and chipping it and chipping it. Whatever I do, there's like a gremlin in the house that you think you finished a model and something just chips the corner or a bump, or Laz and me would probably blame the dogs and say, somebody's got to be a model. Get your aerosol can and spray into a cap, said Luke. And I thought, that's going to go all over the place. It's going to be right. And the lad was right. What he did say, you want to use it within a 30 to 60 seconds, like else it's going to evaporate and dry away. And I've touched that bloody Land Rover up at least half a dozen times now, but it worked. And I thought it's going to stand out. It's going to stand out as a lump, but no, it did dry flat, which was a surprise to me. So I was happy with that. So thanks to Luke for that.
It does work. Yeah, it does work. Yeah, that does. But if you leave it too long, it will go like gel.
Yeah.
And then it's a horrible mess if you don't careful with it.
I can see a question coming. I've just caught a question out the corner of my eye that's going to bring up a complete conversation anyway. Diecast Revive. I've noted your question. It will bring up. Yeah. Here we go. Right. So where did we get to that? Have we missed anybody on that? Any of the last touch-up points? Because the next thing we was going to talk about, which another one that Martin pulled, we've kind of landed Martin with this. How are we going to do this then? Finishing stuff off, and because we thought, what's the subtopics of finishing stuff off like? I mean, in my videos, I'll call it. I have a category toward the end of the video. It says finishing touches, and it will be adding the highlights and definitions and things like that. You don't want to go overboard. I agree with what Martin says, but by the time you've broken, as soon as you've broken that model open, it's not what it was. It's something new. Whether you paint it originally back to how it should have been, it's something new. So you might as well do what you want to do. It's unless you're trying to palm it off as an original.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it, PJ? At the end of the day, it's get it to look how you want it to look. Yeah. I mean, like we said before,
it's your choice. Yeah.
You don't want something small to look too overdone, because you can get something small and you can go, well, I did that little comma pickup. I managed to did the side chrome on it, but that was as far as I was prepared to go with the extras, because otherwise it would look too much because of the size of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you've got to sort of weigh up the size of the car, how much you're going to put on it. Like Luke did with his latest one, he just did a bit around the window tops and that's it. It didn't need any more than that because of the size of it. Even though the real one-to-one one had probably a lot more on it, but you've got to look at it as you're looking at it. We had that in the scale modelling community when you've got a 1/72 scale model aircraft, and people going to the lengths of shadowing it, doing all the lines in it. But you think yourself, well, hang on a minute. If you was to look at that on a 1-to-1 basis and the distance away that it would have been, you wouldn't have seen nothing. You wouldn't see anything. You wouldn't see anything on it. But that's another subject completely. But yeah.
Well, it is. I mean, I got to the point where I'd done this Renault and I'd painted it blue because it was for the challenge light, and then I realised that there was. You might just be able to see the yellow in the headlights. And I've had to fill that with milliput because it had got an headlight in it, and I didn't even spot it. It was that small, and one was
yeah.
So I had to effectively take the other one out and fill it in so that I can now put an headlight highlight, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you want to keep it yellow though, because orange yellow, because in Europe they do have the coloured lights, don't they?
It'll go over orange. So
yeah, you're not alone, PJ. I've done that myself. I've got a model, and I thought, oh yeah, that's okay. And I checked it in the caustic soda, and suddenly realised, oh damn it, it got lights in it, and I hadn't twigged on at the time, or I twigged on, and I realised. I said, I'll take them out in a minute, and I got carried away and chucked it in there. I thought, oh, flipping out, I forgot to take the lights out. But luckily, the dual headlights, the older ones, were made out of glass, so they will survive the caustic soda.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you can fish them out.
I put the bottom half of Thunderbird 2 into caustic soda because I thought it was metal, because it was all one colour.
Yeah.
Having found out later that the top half is metal and the bottom half is plastic. Absolutely.
Yeah, it happens though. You know, we could have a whole subject on things like that. What disasters? What happened? We don't always get put on camera.
Bloopers reel. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about bloopers. This guy being a bit bloop, or you've lost a part in the caustic soda and you can't find it. And I've done that.
It's dissolved.
A headlight, like I said earlier, dual headlight has dropped out in the caustic soda, and you know, you try fishing around with a pair of pliers or a pair of tweezers in a tub of caustic soda looking for a tiny minute headlight.
Or an apple or a hub or something.
I've had it going through a sieve, pouring it through a sieve when it cooled down, looking for his headlight.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Or you drop it on the floor.
You even bought your kettle and tried to make tea out of it, didn't you? I mean, it's just.
Oh yeah. Well, I was just trying.
Sometimes.
Here we go.
Right,
Here's I've got a message from Ian here before we carry on. I've got a little message from Ian. Hold on. Anyway, it's coming. Beauty is in the eye of.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You froze there, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not talking about you, Laz. Believe you. Sorry, love. The case itself.
I did this to me as well. I dropped once the hops from 4G.
You're very quiet, mate. So,
am I quiet?
Yeah.
Let me see.
3 buttons, Laz.
How about now?
Three buttons, lads. Come on, mate. Sort it out.
We've got your voice back, Martin, but your videos froze.
Yeah, I know. It's because when I was getting Ian's message up, I pressed the wrong button.
Okay.
I'm in the background apparently, so
right. Let's.
I'm backstage, boys. I'm backstage.
Let's remove you from that one and add to storage and see if you
There you go.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, you've usurped Laz and moved him over to the right.
Oh, we've got echo. We've got echo big time going on here.
Okay. Don't know what. Let's just. Oh, hang on, mate. Let's see if I can.
How's that?
Is that better, Martin?
Hold on a minute, mate. I think because I had to join twice, it's giving me 2 sets of cameras.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. I'm going to. This is a bit brutal. I'm going to kick you out and then try and rejoin.
Oh no! Don't kick me. No! Don't kick me out. Yeah, go on, kick me out, and I'll come back in a minute. Yeah.
I have the button. Let's kick from studio. Kick yes. Right, he's out completely. Who else can do that to Martin Dare? Mind you, I'm going to get my head chewed off now when he comes back. Right. Well, I'm going to wait for him to come back, but while he's sorting himself out, I'm going to pick up on Diecast Revive. He says, "Can anyone recommend where to get replacement decals and badges from? Thanks."
Sticky subject, that, isn't it?
This is when we thought to ourselves, are we going to run out of subjects? We could have one just on this topic alone. Now I think about it. Okay,
and the last lot I went for was Italy. They come from.
You went to Italy for them?
Well, I got them posted over from there.
It probably cost as much. I don't want to do this question a disservice, but also I think we've also got enough to cover a really good session about creating decals. What we'll do is answer where we get the decals from. Let's rather than making them yourself, which is something we'd probably like to get into. Let's go with where we get decals from if we hadn't got printers and all the software and blah blah blah. So, Laz, you've got to replace some decals, and Andy Bourne is not going to send them to you, or I'm not going to send them to you. Where are you going to go and get your decals from?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can, my friend.
I normally buy them either on eBay, or I did order a big lot from Speak Flowers Model Supplies.
Yeah.
That was okay. But he also sells on eBay, so if you don't want to buy too many, you can buy on eBay.
Okay.
And just type in, I don't know, Dinky Toys 260 Morris Oxford replacement decals.
We are losing your voice again, Matt. You're fading away. I don't know what's going on with your mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's very quiet, mate. It's very quiet.
Kick me out.
Kick you out. Right. At this rate, I'm going to be talking to myself. Luke, you better not say anything wrong.
Kick you out and kick me out as well, Peter.
Right.
Get rid of it all.
There we go. It's down to two of us, mate.
There we go. Get rid of them.
Right. They'll save the best till last. Is what I'm... So, Luke, I mean, we know that we've got enough people we know between us that people will supply each other with decals. But
Yeah.
let's pretend that you haven't got those contacts. Have you purchased decals from anywhere in particular before?
I usually go to eBay. That's the sort of go-to place. There's Steve Flowers as well, Black Square. There's DRH Models Supplies. He's okay for some of them as well. The ones I'm doing the General League next week or so. I couldn't get the decals for that anywhere. So I had a look on eBay. They weren't coming up. So then I went onto the international site. Anyway, fair dues to the guy. I found them and he shipped them straight out to me. 4 days, they come through my door. Couldn't believe it.
Right. That's. I'm just going to pause before. Let's just do a sound check. Are you back there, Laz?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
There you go.
That sounds better. Yeah, that sounds a lot better, mate. Yeah. I completely agree with that General Lee decal search. You can't get them anywhere.
No.
And I found them in Italy, but I didn't purchase them. There was, I must admit, I did cheat a bit. There is a screenshot you can grab of a decal sheet, and from what I could make out, there was almost like 2 versions.
Yeah.
But that's also dependent on what version you're looking for, because you're looking at a 1/25th scale, aren't you?
124, yeah. But I've also got a little Matchbox king size Dodge Charger here kicking around doing nothing. So I'm thinking of doing.
Yeah, I've got the Hot Wheels.
I think they're doing a small one, and what I might do is gift the small one away to a viewer. I'll do the small one alongside the big one, but at the end of it, gift that one away to a viewer. That's the idea.
What is PJ's doing?
I'll get in touch with Andy. He can do the decals for the Matchbox one, if you will. I'm sure he will if I ask him nicely. I've gone down the wrong goal, mate.
Yeah, well, best way to drink whiskey. Martin, we kind of. Can you hear us okay, mate? You back all right?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah,
okay. No, that's sound, mate. Diecast Revive was asked the question. You're going to love this. Can anyone recommend where to get replacement decals and badges from? Thanks. Now, I was just saying to the boys.
Excuse me a minute, gentlemen.
Yeah, no worries, mate. I was just saying to the boys, there's a whole episode here we could do on decals. But I'm going to rein that in and go with, forget the Andy Bournes and me and people like us who do decals. Let's pretend we don't know how to do his own made decals. Where would you go for your replacements?
My replacements, well, before I got to know these guys and the people who do decals, I still do buy mine offline. I started by looking on eBay. If you go onto the diecast vehicles on eBay under toys and stuff like this, and subsection diecast vehicles, and then if you scroll down, you'll see decals and stickers, and you'll see a wide range of sellers on there selling decals. And if you click on one of the decals and then go down to the seller and see what else he's got, and you'll find there'll probably be Black Square, Model Supplies, and a guy called Cliff, who's Dinky Restorations, I think he comes under. A sparring hippo or a spring hippo, that is the eBay selling for Black Square. And there's Diddy Dio, I can't never pronounce his name. There's quite a few sellers on there who will or have got a supply of decals. And that's how I started finding mine.
DTB, something like that.
I found mine by going on eBay, looking under the toy section, looking under diecast vehicles, and it'll give you a drop down box, and you go down and it'll say stickers and decals. And you click on there and it'll give you, start showing you images of decals, and then I look at the images and then I just click on it and see what else the seller's got, whether he's a big seller and had a large scale, a large selection, or a small scale with just a few. I usually go through as many as I can, because some sellers will sell a lot of decals and some will sell ones that the big sellers don't sell, if you understand what I mean. You have to sort of, if you want a particular decal, like for Laz, I was looking for this, the Corgi 250 Dinky 250 Mini, which has the, what he's working on now, which has the decal for the back lights and back end, it's not molded in. So there's two companies that I found would do it, and Model Supplies was doing one, and I found another one tonight, Lads, was a bit cheaper. So you know, we'll get that sent off. But yeah, so you've got to scroll through and go through 2 or 3 different sellers, because sometimes they won't always have what you want, but another seller might. So it's a bit of research. But yeah, if you're going to buy them from Europe and you're in England, then you'd be prepared to pay VAT and quite expensive postage charges. I don't know where you're located. I don't know, but if you're in the UK, there is quite a few sellers in the UK will do decals. You'll find that some are good and some are not so good. Unfortunately, you don't really know until you try them out. I have not had a problem with Dinky Restoration, or Cliff, his name is. He's pretty good because his are pre-cut, and I think one or two others are pre-cut. But Black Square aren't pre-cut. You have to cut them out yourself. So be wary of that if you do that. So yeah, that's what I do. I went through the eBay sections, obviously, because that's the only place that I knew I could get some until I got to know people in the community, and there quite a few people have started doing your own decals. So then we get in touch and you could do a trade or a deal or whatever, you know. If you're on the DMC, put a shout out on the DMC, and I'm sure there's a guy or somebody on there, or some of the other Facebook diecast channels what are out there now. I'm sure there's somebody there will say, yeah, I can use decals, and you can work out a deal between you. Yeah. You know, if that's the way you want to go down.
Diecast Revive is UK based.
Where don't tell us your address, but what county are you in? That's be interesting to see who you're local to. So,
and I'm just subscribed to him.
What we've since we started this community, I don't know, 4 years ago now, certain members have branched off into Bedfordshire. Who's in Bedfordshire?
Oh, that's not far from me. That's not far from me, Bedford. Yeah. Yeah.
Since we started this community several years ago, people have branched off into specific areas, whether it be 3D printing, whether it be homemade decals, whether it be making their own paints, you name it, making their own parts. We've come together as a community, and as Martin says, we've got together and we have a meetup. We try to do it centrally so that nobody's got too far to travel, but we have a swap meet, and the last one was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. And one of our friends, Andy Bourne, is kind of specialising in doing decals now, homemade decals. So whether it be put, just leave a message in the DMC Facebook site what you're struggling to get hold of. I think one of the things that we can't provide at the moment is interior windscreens, the clear windscreens. Although, have you tampered with the rubber wheels?
Yeah, I'm still working. I'm still working on it, PJ. I'm still working on it. The problem is a time factor. As you know, I put a video every week, and it's difficult to get that extra spare time to fiddle about with other projects, which are piling up. To be honest with you, winter time's coming. Caravan season will be finishing soon, so I'll have a bit more time.
But I know that the other thing is you've got to be careful what you do, because it's all right saying I'll volunteer to do A, B, or C, and you can end up spreading yourself too thin, trying to do a bit of everything and end up doing nothing. So I mean, I'm the three. I mean, Martin gets sick of hearing it, but and he does it with a smile on his face. But the 3D printing has blown me away that we've got into at the minute. Decals, I'll have a bash at. We've done shut up, lads. You silly foreign person. We've done inkjet print decals. We've done laser decals. Some where there's a will, there's a way at the minute, but it's just these clear windscreens we haven't been able to crack. Although I know that Michael in Australia is on it. He's got a vac former. I think his house is turned into one big lab.
Yeah, well, a little factory shop there.
But I will just point out that Luke, you was gonna. Did you get a second VAT for your 3D printer for doing tyres?
Sorry, mate. Yeah, I'm printing. Well, I'll be doing them tomorrow. I'll be printing wheels and tyres, so I'm hoping they turn out okay.
So it will get to the point.
The resin it's not cheap. That flexi, the rubber stuff's not cheap. Like, I think it was 60 quid for one bottle, 100 mil.
Sweet.
Not cheap, like.
I mean, I pay 16 quid for a litre of the standard resin, so that is
the
you're on your own.
Specialised, specialised, isn't it?
Wow.
But I've managed to find the file for all the Dinkies and Corgis, them little round tyres. I can print all them off.
I think you've just found yourself a niche market, mate.
I can print all them off. And I found another thing. I found exhausts, back boxes, cherry bombs, and get all them. I've got them all. So we fitting exhausts next.
What you want to do, I'm not joking, really, is you want to keep a record. So you know what size bottle you've got. Keep a record of what you've printed off for that bottle to see roughly how many ties you can get out of a bottle.
Yeah.
Then give a good indication of, well, I might be able to.
It shouldn't be too bad, PJ, because obviously the wheels will be printed in the normal resin, and it'll just that'll just be for tyres. So I've been looking into the clear stuff for doing the windows. There is some files out there for them, but I don't think it's going to be. It's not worth it at the minute. There's not enough, not enough down to sort of justify buying it at the minute.
I think the problem we've got is that whether it's 3D printing or whatever it is, the rarer the model, the more difficult it is to get a replacement part. Me, Luke, Michael, Pete. We've all used places like Yegi and sites like that. And whatever you search, whether you search Matchbox, Corgi, Dinky, there's a relatively small amount of print plans unless you're prepared to go in there and design something yourself. So
I think a lot of it is with it's business, really, isn't it? When you think about it, these guys like Model Supplies and people who do and the ones in Australia, whatever their name is, I can't remember now. And the Dutch guys, they're only going to produce what they know they're going to sell. And the run-of-the-mill stuff that is quite common out there, that everybody like the Chevy 57s and blah, blah, blah. But the rarer ones, it probably isn't worth them doing for the occasional one that somebody's going to do, because the rarer the model, the less chance it's going to get restored. You know, if it's a rare piece, you're not going to do it, because it's that rare that you're not going to open it. You're not going to. You might clean up on the outside, but you won't. You know, collectors won't touch it to restore it. Especially, I mean, if I had something which was very, very rare, I wouldn't restore it. To be honest with you, because it would.
No, I
Not
mean,
from a financial point of view, but from the point of view that it's that rare. You know,
it was
it's
interesting
one of those things, isn't it?
when we went to Stafford, and this does tie in with finishing. You know, I was talking to that guy Chris who does all the Jerry Anderson restorations, and the closer I got to the model, I thought there's something not quite right here. And if you look at the Interceptor or the SPV, he hadn't painted the fine lines. He'd used a sticker, because you were talking about fingernail stuff, and you can get fine lines for.
You can,
yeah. And he'd used them, and they overlapped, and it didn't look right. And he was selling them for £90 a piece.
Yeah.
Where he'd restored them, and he'd painted them black, so he'd done like a negative version.
Yeah.
And I thought,
But
hang on, that's not quite.
Did he sell them?
Yeah. He got a stall there. You could buy. Well, Luke saw it, Martin saw it. Like, you could buy Interceptors.
He actually sell one.
Yeah. He showed me. I'm not going to mention his name, although his first name was Chris. I'm not going to give any more away. But he showed me his eBay account, and he'd made £11,000 on doing these restorations or replica Jerry Anderson vehicles. And the closer I looked, and I thought, I couldn't get away with that, because they didn't look as good.
Well,
as I thought.
Depends. It's the same old thing, isn't it? It depends on the person who wants a one-off. You know, they're prepared to accept the one-off, regardless of, as long as it's not obviously too shabby. You know, and stuff like this. There's a whole different thing when you talk about doing commissions and selling your stuff on, whether it be eBay or somewhere else. It's as a whole new thing, because it's a difficult subject, because Laz has touched on it. I've had a little go at it. It can be a nasty minefield of people saying, "Oh yeah, you know, I don't mind if you do this, I don't mind if you do that," and then when you do it, and they'll start picking holes in it. You know.
Yes, that's why I don't commission or order. I do the car, then I sell it. If you like it, you buy it. If you don't like it, leave it. Something else.
Yeah. If anything's going to destroy your ego, and you're going to do something like that, or your confidence, then it'll be somebody picking holes in your work when you do it.
Well, I don't think any of the four of us started the hobby for that reason.
No, but you do occasionally. I mean, I've done one or two for people. I did one for Robert Franks, aka Robster Bob. I did a spot on Rolls Royce for him, because it was something for that his grandfather had, you know, and so I don't mind doing a one-off like that, you know, to help somebody out. But regarding as doing it on a regular basis and selling them, no.
I wouldn't feel like you say, Martin. I think you can do without the comeback if anything goes south, like, you know.
Well, yeah, because people become finicky when they got a part with the money. You'll be surprised how much that can change somebody's attitude, you know. Yeah, but I'm not saying the work's going to be poor or anything like that. I mean, you'll do it to the best of your ability, and if they've seen your work and they like what you do, and then, but occasionally it does happen. It does happen.
I mean, I don't want to put Laz on the spot, but I'll let him tell if he chooses to do so. I'll let Laz tell the story, but I know that Laz did a lot of work for somebody, and it bit him in the backside, didn't it?
Ended up bitter, because I mean, I had the authorization as you like, and then I finished something, and he actually come back that I don't like it. and so I didn't say anything. I've done it again as he wanted, and then I said, that's it. And that person actually sent me another person. Recommended me another person, and that person said, "Oh, I heard that you do restore cars for and I didn't get paid actually. I've done that on a favor for junk cars, and I said, sorry, I don't do any more commission work.
No.
I did later, but I didn't get any thank you from the second guy. I never heard of the guy again, and his speech actually was sitting at my mom for 2 months because he didn't bother to pick them up. You know, send them. You know, you do them. I made video out of them.
See you, player. Take care. Sorry, Luke. Sorry, Laz.
Yeah. He needs to go. And I put my effort in, and then I packed them up, send them, and he didn't collect them for 2-3 months. So why afford them to restore anything?
Yeah.
So now what I do is, if I like this station wagon I showed you earlier, this one, I've got like 3-4 of them. So I do this, and I sell it. I know someone who likes these old Leslie ones, and if he likes it, he buy it. If he say, "Oh, sorry, it's not my taste, not my cup of tea," fine. Somebody else will like it. But
there's a slight difference though, in so much as you restore a car and you sell it, as opposed to somebody gives you a car and asks them to restore it on their behalf.
Okay, this needs to be dead, and this and this, and then they say, "Oh, sorry, I don't like it."
I mean, a friend of mine that I used to go to school with, so obviously many years ago, has asked me if I'd do a Capri for him, and then I saw what some bloke in Chester did, and I thought, I'll put you in touch with a man that can. But the point being is, I would never charge him. I would never say, it's going to cost you this much. I'd do it because it's a mate. I'd just do it, and that's what we've done between us. We've done stuff just because it's a mate, Well,
you do have your friends out. Of course you do. That's part and parcel of having your mates. And if you can, it's like if you've got a casting or a spare part that somebody needs and you don't need it or you're not going to use it, then pass it on to somebody else. I mean, it's like Kev. I mean, bless him. Kev's banger races. I mean, he takes all his cars apart and he's got so many bits of spare glass all over the place, and he quite generously gives them out to people as and when they need them. He must be he's got more windscreens, Jaguar windscreens, than anybody else in the whole world, I don't think, at the minute.
He must have the biggest diecast scrapyard. It's like, I can imagine like how much acreage, if they were full size, how much acreage would take up, you know what I mean?
A lot of windscreens, and headlights and bumpers.
Right, so Mark, you went offline for a few minutes, so we kind of covered that whilst you were away on decals. But one of the subjects we was going to pick up on was wheels and hubs. So wheels and hubs then, Martin, where do you go with your wheels and hubs?
Well, I go with my wheels and hubs. I go and see Luke. No.
Luke.
What I do with mine, once I've got them off, if they're the chrome ones, obviously most of them are polished hubs of one way or another. I tend to try and I use the original axle, slide it on the end, put it in my drill, give it some auto sole and a cotton bud and spin her up on the drill, and that works pretty well. But you've got to make sure that your hub is tight on your chuck. Otherwise the chuck will go around and your wheel just stays still and you're not polishing anything. So you've got to make sure it's nice and tight. If you can't get it in your drill because you got a hub either end and you can't get it off the axle, or you don't want to get it off the axle, then I just do a clean out with some
Isopropyl, I'll give you that one.
That stuff, IPA, and then I'll And
Good lad.
then what I'll do, then I hit it with the ultrasol. I find the ultrasol is very, very good for that sort of thing. You know, I'm not keen on using it on windscreens because I think it leaves it cloudy on the windscreen.
Right out of my mouth there. Yeah, absolutely.
It's great on hubs and metalwork.
Yeah.
And that's what I do: spin it up and get them as clean as I can.
Yeah.
The painted ones, obviously, I'll paint them. I'll put them on toothpicks, and I put masking. I put the insulation tape partway down the toothpick, slide it on, and I put a bit of insulation tape on top of it as well, so it's locked in place on the toothpick. And then I can spray them that way, so they don't move around. Then I know some people put them in on the flat and do them, but I just use a toothpick method for me. Yeah, on my wheels and hubs. And the tires, I wash them in the warm soapy water. If they're a little bit hard, sometimes they will soften up. I've soaked them in oil, not engine oil, obviously, but probably not cooking oil. Yeah, some sort of light oil. I'll soak them in there.
Olive oil and something.
Yeah, and just gives it a little bit of suppleness back. And if they're really dull and they want painting, I will use either a Sharpie on them, or I've got some what I use for my car. What I used to use for my car was the tire black, you know, that you do with your cars. I find that's okay. Yeah. And I am going to start doing with the tires on the Dinkies. If you notice, and the Corgis, they're not right, if you know what I mean. They come to a point, don't they? Where a car tire is flat, isn't it, on the tread? It's not pointed. So I'm toying with the idea of running up in a drill with a bit of sandpaper and just flattening off that middle piece and getting it flatter.
Oh, that ridge in the I know.
Getting it flatter, because you got a tire. The thing is with that is trying to get an equal consistency, so your car's not leaning to one side because you've got too much off one tire.
What you can also find is if they come on like a spur, they've got points on them when you.
They've got the nibbles on them. Yeah, they've got nibbles on. You'll get that. You get that when you buy them off eBay or something like that. You'll get them. People have done them, and they've been on a tree of some sort, and then you can just nip them off. See, that's the beauty of what with the 3D printing. If you're going to 3D print tires, you can print them with thread, rather than the standard Corgi and Dinky, which have got like a ridge around them, so they're not really flat, if you know what I mean, as a proper tire.
Well, this all boils down to, I'm not going to name names, but this all boils down to quality checks as well. If you want to get a good name for your company, you make sure that that's a bloody good tire before it goes out. But then again, I can see if you're printing 10,000 tires a day or whatever, you're not going to go through each tire and make sure.
Yeah, I mean, even at the factory, Dinky and Corgi factory, they were designed like that. That's the way they are.
They're extruded.
But I think a lot of people get away from the fact that they were originally toys, and that's it. They were made as toys, sold as toys, and that was it. It's only until people like us come along and decide to turn it into something else.
Yeah, we know what's best, you know, like.
But it's all a bit of fun. That's at the end of the day, it's all a bit of fun. You're getting an old toy from your child, because most people do it because it's stuff they had when they were kids. You know, that's why you've got people who like the 80s upwards models. Some people like the 90s. Some people go back like us, like the 60s and the 50s. It's different eras. You know, different
like
eras.
People are now bringing the 80s as vintage, and that's, to me, that's like yesterday.
Yeah, I think officially anything over 25 years is a classic vintage. Is called vintage, isn't
it? Luke, wheels and tires, my friend.
I've got a big ice cream bucket in the bottom of my drawer there, full of wheels and tires. I don't use them. The ones I take off the car, I don't like them. I really don't. And that's not the sort of road I go down with them anyway. So before the 3D printer, I was spending a fortune on wheels on eBay and tires. It'd have to take a bit of planning to what car I was doing next. I'd have to go then on eBay or whatever to find what wheel and tyre I wanted to put on, and it was quite costly. Well, that 3D print is the best thing I've ever bought. I can get a model now and at a drop of a hat decide what wheels and tyres I want to put on it. Literally, I must have now hundreds of files for wheels. I must have. I spent a fortune, but it'll pay off in time. It will.
I think they already have. And good evening to our good friend, Mr. James, who I was speaking to for the first time last night. He's in the chat. How are you, Paul? Good to see you, my friend.
Hi, Jamo. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you, mate.
Always a pleasure to see him. Good friend of ours. I completely agree with the. Mark's going to go. Yeah, I fell in love with it, mate. It is a tool and a half. But the thing that I found was it can lead you away from the reason that you brought it for in the first place, which is, I brought it for replacement parts, and I've done 4 skeletons. What the hell has that got to do with diecast? And I'm now looking for a pattern for King Kong and Godzilla, and
it's all about having fun, though, PJ. This hobby or any hobby you do, it's all about having fun. That's why we do it. It's to take away any stress and strains and have a bit of fun. That's how we all got together, and we have a laugh, and that's what it's all about. It doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're playing with your scale electrics or you're playing with your trains or you're making skeleton figures or Godzillas or customizing your cars. It doesn't matter as long as you're having fun. Yeah, they're all like-minded people. A lot of messing with stuff. Yeah.
I'm going to get this name. I'm probably going to get this wrong, Martin, and you'll have to correct me. I don't know whether one of your subscribers, John Atwell. He comes on every day and he says, "Good morning, pleasant as you like," and he'll put up some great pictures of cars. And one person said, "What's that got to do with diecast?" As the administrator of the channel, I don't care what it's got to do with diecast. The guy has gone to the effort of joining us, putting up some pictures, having a laugh. That's what it's all about. If you want to count nuts and bolts, you're on the wrong channel.
Well, exactly, because that was one of the reasons why the DMC is different from a lot. I mean, I've been and I am a member of a lot of other channels, not necessarily diecast related. I was on the XF Jaguar Facebook page, and my God, talk about rip you to pieces. You ask a question. I've never met a bunch, and you get a lot of that on these Facebook pages. James will know this, and they are so rude to people who just ask a simple question, and there's no need for it. And because you want to post, we on ours, we post up funny stuff, we post up serious stuff, we post up. It's a bunch of lads, a bunch of people having fun with a bit of diecast thrown in, or scale modeling, or scale electrics, or Lego, or whatever you want to do. As long as you keep it,
it's the diecast.
As long as you keep it happy and you keep it fun, that's what it's all about. And you don't be rude to people, because I don't like that when people start slagging people off and being rude. I don't like it. There's no need for it at all.
I've said in the past that you're my measuring stick. If it goes south and Martin Daves doesn't turn up, then we're going south. And that's the way I've kept it, and that's the way we will keep it.
Yeah. So there's no need.
A shout out to all the people that join us on Facebook. It's if anybody's got any issues, just give me a shout, because I'll put people. Yeah. Anyway, so wheels, Laz. Was there anything else? Like wheels, tires?
No, that's what I got to. There's only a very small amount of models that I've put the original wheels back on. I don't like doing it.
I don't think there's any topic that we're going to talk about where we can't turn it around to 3D printing in some way, shape, or form.
I must admit, I think the original like Corgi Dinky wheels, I can live with them. But when it comes to the Whiz wheels, the big on the Corgi, not Corgi, on the Matchbox king size and stuff, them what they put on their Jaguar is sacrilege. On the Matchbox Jaguar XJ12s and XJ6, it's horrible. And the XJS especially, you got a beautiful XJS and they stick these horrible square wheels that look awful. I know why they did it for speed, and you know, to get as much speed up, but they just look so awful. You know, I just don't like them.
I don't like the Speed King wheels.
Yeah, you can see why they've done it. I can see the theory behind it, but they just look so.
It kind of
strange.
emulates a spoke wheel, but it ain't a spoke wheel.
Some of the lorries are okay with, but on some of the cars are just they're right horrible. Like the Rover SD1, the Jaguar, the Jaguar XJS, those sort of cars, they just look awful on them. Really do.
It's going to be interesting, Luke, with all seriousness, the economics of that. You've shocked me, to be honest, with because I think a VAT for that printer that we've got is about 20 quid on its own, isn't it? Something around them.
It's a little bit dearer than that, PJ. It was nearly 30 quid just for the VAT.
30 quid, you know.
Yeah.
So you're looking. So this is just a tray, effectively, that you pour your liquid into. And then Michael said last night it was. Did he say it was 25 quid for 5 sheets?
Just over 30 quid, I think it is. I've got them here, but I haven't had to use them yet. I've had 2 failed prints. The first one was my fault. I screwed the screws down when I set it off, getting the ego on it, ready to print, and I had one little mirror fall off, but it just sort of picked off. Anyway, there's no marks on the frame.
So you're looking at 30 quid for a spare VAT.
Yeah.
Possibly, if you want spare, if you can imagine a tambourine, it's the part that you hit and gives that, you know, it's got that bounce on it. It's like a clear film. It gives it some structure. The bottom of the tray. So you're already up to 60 quid if you brought a spare VAT and the tray and the films, and then you're looking at another 60 quid. That shocked me, mate, about the price of the liquid. Is that a litre, did you say?
It's a big. I think it's double the size of the ones we're using.
All right. Okay. So it's effectively 2 litres.
Yeah, it's a big one. Like, if it works, PJ, I'll be happy, man. If it doesn't, then waste of money.
You got to look at what it's going to save you over a period of time. It's going to save
you
a lot of money.
I never bought it to make money or for the cost of it. That doesn't bother me. It just saves me a lot of time. I can put a model on the bench, think, right, what am I going to do with it? And I can just go through my laptop. Yeah, I like that, boom. And like the artists and the kits that I'm printing now, that would have been impossible without it. I've done it before, making it out of filler, but it's a long process. That is, you've got to make sure that it all looks right. Everything's matching each side. It is a pain in the bum that way, but that. Brilliant.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I'm doing a bit of filler work on a small budgie Rover 90, which was one of them really badly corroded. It'll be a video up shortly when I've done it, but it was really, really eaten into and corroded in one area from the front pillar post to the front of the bonnet on one wing. It was like Swiss cheese, and I filled that different times, 3 or 4 times, primed it. I thought that look all right. No, and then carried on rubbing again, a bit more filler, a bit more rubbing, sprayed it. No, bit more. There's a bit there because that grey primer, bang, you hit that and instantly see where you've missed or where you've got to strain it out. And I think at the moment it's looking good. Now, message from Ian. Ian just dropped a message in. I'll try and do it without getting kicked off. Courtesy costs nothing. Rudeness is expensive, and I won't pay for rudeness. There
Absolutely. Yeah. And Ian is but I think me and Martin have both spoken to him, and he's a very well-versed gentleman who's very kind when you speak to him. He's got the patience to say it as well. Laz, have you done tyres and wheels?
Yes, and I just want to say that I did text Ian to thank for the majorettes he sent to Martin. I don't know if he got the message. I did text him on the phone.
I don't know when you text it, it comes along with the accent. You know, I think it
Yeah,
just says,
it probably doesn't.
it just says major. Yeah. Wheels and tires. The only
So
thing I like to.
I
that
do a
is-
lot 1 to
Go on,
60 Leslie ones, the older ones. I do take them off from the axles. I polish the axles off, and I put the tires or wheels on cocktail sticks, and I spray them black,
Yeah.
clean them first, and then spray them black. And yeah, I agree with Martin that the 80s wheels on these corgis, they look horrible, and they're all the same, like the Matchbox as well. They all look the same. Sports car, truck, bus, all the same. So I don't
Yeah.
like that. And sometimes when I do like a Viz wheel, for example, Corgi Toys Viz wheel, I do take them off and I put them the older one, you know, the aluminium ones, the 60s,
Yeah,
50s.
yeah.
They look better. So I do often check them. But I do keep the original. So when I do an older Dinky or Corgi toys, these 1 to 36 scales, I do like to keep them on. I do like the original wheels and tires. So I don't often change them. I do like, I mean, I would like to customize sometimes, but the other hand is always my originality wins. So I always put the original back. So I tend to keep those. I don't do many 80s matchboxes anymore. I just find them boring, and they're not too accurate, the models, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
obviously less details, they less nice. These 60s, 70s, 50s cars are a lot nicer. So I do like Leslie's, and I do a lot of them. And that's the process I do: clean the axles, put the wheels and tires on the cocktail stick, paint them, put them back, make the mushroom nice, and yeah, I think that's it really.
Yeah.
I know also the Dinky ones. I put the on the cocktail stick and paint them. You know, the
Yeah, yeah.
casting.
Yeah. I do
So
find that some of the if you look carefully at some of the corgi toys, the ones with the what you can pull off with the pullers. If you look when you pull them off, on not all of them, but some of them, they're shaped one side. They've got the shaped hub one side, and they've got the smooth hub the other side. So you
yes,
can actually, if you've got shaped hubs on, and you think, oh, you know, this will look better with the smooth hubs, you can turn around.
yes,
I've done that a few times. I thought that's very. The factory must have thought, well, we'll do one side. If they decided to, we'll put smooth hubs on this. They
Money
can do
saving
that,
idea.
and it won't make any difference.
Yeah.
And how
Yes.
I noticed it was obviously it was a factory mistake. I got a Corgi toys, and 3 of them were on the smooth disc, and 1 wasn't. And it was a hub, and I thought that's how I first noticed it. I thought, well, how come that's got on there like that? Then, and when I actually took it off, you could see it was round the wrong way, but it hadn't been taken off previous.
I'm just going to take the canopy off the back of that. That has got the grooved.
yes.
But if you look inside,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
it's the moon. It's the moon. You're absolutely right, Martin. It's the
yeah,
moon disc inside.
yeah. They call
So
those
I've
shaped
these
hubs,
round,
BJ, just to put you right, mate. It's called a shaped hub, and then it's
Shaped.
a smooth hub. Yeah, the size.
It's my South Derbyshire accent, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh, that's what it was. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I can get away with bloody murder with a South Derbyshire accent.
If you look at the Dinky ones, they have little pins inside which holds the hub in a position of the base plate. So you can't always turn the Dinky ones, but Corgi.
No, you can't. No, because they got a little flat piece at the back. It's extended out slightly, and
Yes.
you can't really do that. But what I have done, Laz, funny enough, I got a Dinky. I don't know if it's here or not. Actually, it was the. I did a recreation of the Hell Drivers. Film the Hell Drivers, which was and I used the truck, but I put twin wheels on the back, now.
Yes, I remember.
And what I
that,
did
yeah.
with that was I got the Dinky hubs, and I filed them and filed them and filed them until I could just get them in enough to look right within the truck itself. So I had the doubles on the back, and I put a whole new, it was a stake truck that I used, and I used the stake truck sides as a basis, cut it down and put flat sides on it and made it into the tipper truck. It's quite good. I don't know where it went to. It would be here somewhere. Can't know where it disappeared to. But yeah, and it was something I did a long time ago. Yeah. But you can do it. But they are, like you say, lads, they are only one particular way. Yeah.
Well, just while he's scouring about, if you get the opportunity to have a look on YouTube, that Hell Drivers movie up until about 4 months ago was free to watch. It's a fantastic British
Brilliant
movie.
film.
Brilliant
Brilliant
movie.
film.
Yeah, if you want to know about lorry driving, that kind of thing back in the day, and we're not talking about 25 years ago, we're talking about when was it made? More 50s?
Yeah, something like that.
So there's a voice from beyond. Yeah, so somewhere in the 50s, it's a fantastic movie. It's all about delivering aggregate from one place to another, but you made your money depending on how many times you could tip, return, fill, tip, return, fill.
Pay by the load.
Yeah, paid by the load. Yeah, it was dangerous job to be working in because so much competition.
Found it. Oh, sorry about that, chaps. I've just been rooting around, found it.
Oh, yeah.
There it is.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, so that was the wagon. That was the unit.
That's the wagon. That's the sides. I've made all this is all homemade. The sides, top,
So,
and the
Mark,
back.
sorry, I missed. Is it a Dinky model?
Yeah, it's Dinky. Yeah. It's a Dinky. It's Dinky Dodge because in the film they use the Dodge. And if you see what I've done at the back, there's the dual wheels at the back.
Right.
Smart, that mate.
I'm going to get one of them because he set me up on. I had seen that movie years ago, but look at that.
Stanley Baker.
Stanley Baker.
Sid James. Stanley Baker. Sid James. What's him out of the McEwen? His name is, right?
Say again. Sorry, who was that? Outlaw.
McEwen. His name was Ian McEwen.
Patrick McEwen from the
Patrick
Prisoner.
McEwen. Yeah, he was the. Yeah, I've done that a while ago. Yeah, I was pleased with that. Yeah. But I didn't know anybody to do decal at the time to put the Hewitts in the side there. But I do now.
Jerry said, "It's fallen, can't get up."
Monster's fallen, can't get up. We have to send him an hoist round. We have to 3D print him an hoist.
Diecast says, "What is your preference of water-based base coat and solvent base? I'm mixing all my colors from my automotive paint scheme that is water-based, but we'll use solvent base coat for wheels and grills, etc."
Yeah, yeah, I know Luke's got a different thing, but me personally, I use the acrylics. I don't tend to use much on the enamels, but I tend to stick with the acrylics.
Yes,
acrylics is the way forward because they've stopped.
Yeah, and on the aerosol cans, the high coats, they're all water based anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, I know Luke does something differently. Thank you, Luke. Take it away, Luke. What do you use, mate?
Yeah, I use solvent based 2K. When I used to spray, obviously the real cars, we had a lot of trouble with the water based stuff, trapping moisture. You have to have the humidity just right for spraying, and a lot of times you couldn't quite get it. I'm sure technology's moved on a hell of a lot, and the paint, but I didn't like it. I tend to stay clear of it myself. I do. Stick to what you know.
Yeah, quite agree.
The way that I go with wheels and tyres. I mean, we could do an whole episode just on reforming axles, to be honest, now I think about it. But basically, I completely agree on the Autosol. I will use Autosol all the time for cleaning up hubs. It's brilliant. you think something's clean, and then you give it a dash of Autosol and just use a little tack life, and it's only on the second setting, and they come up like mirrors. It's a fantastic product, but I agree with Martin. And again, I've steered away from it now that I've come across the new Voss stuff, Martin, which is this. Although it's plastic, it's a plastic fine scratch remover that I picked up from Ron from Sumo Diecast.
That's right.
I won't use Autosol on windscreens anymore. Yeah. That's the product that I use.
I think Autosol is gritty anyway. It's designed for metal polish, not for plastic windows. It's I quickly found that out. I thought, oh, steady on, guy, because even though I cleaned it with that and polished it, even if it was okay, it was okay at times, but that's I like to be sanders and buffers, and then put it in the clear.
Yeah.
Lamp Doctor was another one. That's good for.
Actually, for headlights, isn't it? That is Lamp Doctor. That's designed for plastic, though.
And I will use. If I'm going to do tires, if I need to repaint tires, Tamiya X1.
Yeah, rubber black. Yeah.
Yeah, the rubber black. So you can get a matte black rubber finish.
Yeah.
And they look like brand new tires when they're done. Yeah. Well, this is the X1. This is the gloss. I think it's XF1. That's the
or you can use the Rebel Aqua anthracite. That's very similar.
Yeah. And the other thing,
us knowing what we're talking about now. It's cool,
what we've done it before, isn't it? You know what I mean? But we didn't think we were going to fill an hour. Bless. Yeah. The boys will say, I always get a little bit nervous when we start, and I'll say, have you got some ideas what we're going to talk about? Blah blah blah. We'll find it. We'll find enough. Calm down. We'll be all right.
Yeah, it finds its own flow, mate. It finds it when you have a chat, and it flows. It flows.
But what this is going to do a lot with cost and what you're prepared to pay out. I mean, if you've been doing it if you've been doing this hobby several years, you will have upgraded your tool set. I think it's fair to say by now. Even so, that Martin and I the rest of us were talking about computers and stuff last night, which you think is not diecast related at all, but you'd be surprised how much it is. So I've got a stand on my. I've got two rotary tools that you can't get anymore because it's the cordless mini version, and it started to heat up and burn people's hands, so they stopped doing it. So now there's a grandfather version of that, if you like. I've got that in a stand, and I can put my axles into that grip. So I've got a stand, and I've got the Dremel coming out of it, and I can put the axle into that, and then I can polish it with using the Autosol. So you've got the rotations are going in opposite directions, and you can clean them up. So there's So the Tamiya paints using Dremels. There's not really a good deal that you can go wrong with.
Well, I think that's about it. I think these sort of like.
What I will say, what I did get was a bit cheeky. I was doing a St. John's ambulance course, I think, at the time, and dead opposite was a steelworks, and I went over there and I said, "Is there any chance that I could get an offcut?" I thought they were going to tell me to go forth and multiply. Like, could you do me a 4x4 steel block? How much would it be? And he says, "Oh, we've got stuff like that as offcuts," and they did me a block of steel, so that going back to the reforming of the heads of the axles, Mark. So if you put your axle through your chassis on some models, which you've got to do, then put your wheel on, and then I've got a jeweler's hammer. But you've got to have the patience of a saint because you think this isn't working. But like 2,000, taps later, all of a sudden your wheel will stick, and then you give it another 500 taps to make it secure. He's laughing. He knows what I'm on about. It drives you nuts.
Not that I was laughing at, but go on.
Right, okay. But, yeah, giving it 200,000 taps. Right.
Depends on your hammer, be honest with you,
Depends on
PJ, because
depends on your hammer, yeah.
you can get the little toffee hammers. It's
Yeah.
funny, when I first started, I bent no end of axles. Oh,
Yeah,
I was doing the Corgi Transporter, and they were the softest axles I'd ever peened over. When I thought I'm doing really well here, and it's coming a treat, and I got it nice and rounded, and I turned the thing upside down. You should state the axle; it was bent to buggery. But
well, I'll give you.
you learn.
I'll give you 2 examples.
Hammer was too heavy. Hammer was too heavy. Yeah.
That one is about good enough for breaking ice at the ice trade for the Scotch and Coke. Like, but that one is surprising. This is a proper jeweler's one. The weight in it, you'd be surprised how heavy it is. Brass handle, and this is ideal. And you've also got the rounded head on it as well, and it comes with fitment, so you can have a plastic version and whatever you like.
Yeah, the plastic version. Yeah.
Dependent on. I don't know about the other boys. When you first started, you go in the shed and find out what tools you've got to be able to do the old.
Yeah, that's what I did, and I made a right mess. But yeah, that's why on some of them, removing the wheels, I had I'm doing a Mercedes truck at the minute, and it's a big dinky Mercedes truck. It's got plastic hubs, but the axles are they're short, and when they're peened over, they're very close to the hubs, and I struggled to get the pointed burr and very, very carefully chew it around, without damaging the hub, because they were deep dish hubs, and it took me a long time, because some of them are very tight. Some of them are slack, you can get them great, but other ones are so tight in there, very, very tight.
I think, like I said, now upon reflection, we can possibly do in the future a complete episode on reforming axles, because it's not just about putting back what you started with.
There's all sorts.
Go down the brass or aluminium tubing route and put in pins.
There's that, and there's the crimped axles. There's replacing axles, crimping the original axles. Crimping an original dinky axle, you need
jackhammer.
I'm working on a bolt cropper at the minute. It's
if I remember right, that's a Warrington hammer. If I remember right.
It is. That's a actual panel pin hammer.
Yeah. Just find out that actually this thinner end is really good for the axles.
Yeah,
because this makes the axle not only going round, it goes a bit
stretches it a bit as well. Yeah.
So it's pretty good. It's okay heavy, so it's not too heavy, not too light, but it's an old one. I don't know where did I get this from, but it's a really good one. I only use this one. I don't use any bigger than this.
It kind of reminds me of how many different ways there are of stripping paint, how many different ways there are of reforming axles. There's no right or wrong way, to be honest.
No, it's finding the right tool, PJ. That's what I find, is finding the tool that does it quickly and efficiently enough. When you're if you're crimping the original axles off an old dinky, to get that crimp back, I've tried pincers, I've tried extended pincers, but you get that too much flex. So I thought, well, I tell you what, if you can get the bolt croppers, a set of bolt croppers, not a big, ginormous set of bolt croppers, just you can get a smaller set of bolt croppers, and you can machine the end of it so you can get most of the gubbins down to thin it down a little bit, if you know what I mean, and flatten the jaws, get it so you can get it in there and just nip it. Because I noticed that some dinkies, they had a rounded end of an axle and a crimped end. Now it was interesting to me why they did that, and I think it was for the axle was domed and then finished off with the crimp, because the crimp they didn't have to get too close to the hub when they were doing it. They could, you know, it would crimp it and break it off. That's why you'll see some of them are longer than others, the crimps. Because it was strange the way there, because they start off crimping both ends, and then it ended a dome one end, crimp the other, and then they went both domed. And I think it was a machine tool type of scenario at that time, whenever they did it in the late 40s after the war.
I seem to think that the you know, the Leslie Coca-Cola wagon.
Yeah.
I've got one of them that's got a domed on one side and crimped on.
Crimped on. Yeah, I think it was slide it through, bang it in, snap.
Yeah.
Anyway, Chad, I'm going to have to go in shortly.
That's all right.
So 10 o'clock now.
It's toast time.
It's toast time. It's the dare toast time. Is 10 o'clock. If you don't know him, he has his toast at 10. It's reliable. You can set your clock by it.
Toast at 10.
Toast at 10. I think that's a fair place where we can leave it, because now that's
I think we pretty much covered what we set out to cover today, didn't we?
Yeah.
Anyway,
and just a quick word in the chat: if you've got any subjects you think we've missed, by all means, stick
definitely,
We'll pick up on it, and because that's made me think about the axles and the tubing and stuff like that. Right, so
like I say, the thing is, when we're chatting about these subjects, just quickly before we go, chatting about these subjects, we don't always remember everything that we do or we'd like to cover in the short space of time. You know, you could rattle on for an hour or doing something, you know. So by all means, if there's a subject what you think we haven't covered or you'd like us to cover or whatever, just chuck it down. Let us know.
We'll run out of categories eventually, so I don't want it just to become an effort of
feel free. Because I'm sure we just basically skimming over the surface, as we all know that there's lots of different angles and wires and waveforms. Right.
JMO saying I use Bopol solid polish for plastic. Jerry, cross pane hammer, Laz. Diecast Revival, got to go now. Thanks for the advice. You're more than welcome. Well, and please come back. Jerry saying tea and toast sounds good. Sounds good for all of us. So, as always, my thanks to Luke, my thanks to Laz, my thanks to Martin. We'll see you. You don't have to. You can set your watch by it. We'll see you exactly the same place, exactly the same time, 2 weeks from today. Who knows what's going to come up in the next episode? I think we haven't decided yet, but we've got some more ideas now of where we can take this.
Yeah.
Night night, Sky. Night. Good night, Kev. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Night, Kevin. Night, Kev.
Mick's still there. Good night, Mick. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. So, from me, PJ, to Luke.
See you later, guys. See you, PJ.
To Laz.
Thank you for joining us.
To Martin. We'll
good night from me and a good night from him.
We'll see you in a fortnight. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you soon. Cheers.
Good night, Ian. If you're there.
Bye.
Good night, Ian. Good call. Good night, Ian, mate. We'll speak soon.
Bye, Ian.
Bye.